All right, good morning. Thank you for keeping it Citizen Television. Daybreak it is. We really appreciate your company from 6 a.m. in the morning till now as we shift gears and go into the social hour. The conversation that we have lined up for you, it's all about yourself as an individual. You know, when the year began, we actually planned a lot that we wanted to do this particular year. And I don't know where you are in that particular journey. Is it 3 months down the line? You can actually just have a meeting with yourself later and check how far you've gone with that. But we are going to have a very important conversation this morning that will help you actually go faster on that particular journey as we discuss personal growth and development. And this particular morning, we are doing things a little different. In studio, I'm with CJ Atemo. CJ, leo nilikuwa nawaambia wametuleta huku, we look like we are having a very serious conversation, eh?
Well, it is.
It is serious, right?
Yes, but it's so interesting sitting around here like this.
I know, right? It gives you that vibe of wanting
like
to read news and do that. But yeah. Like you say, it's an important conversation either way. The ladies are taking a little break, but hopefully they will be joining us next week when I enjoy their holiday somewhere. I'm seeing Cutie and Atutesa with a lot of photos wherever she is. She's really enjoying herself, but we wish them well. So we'll do this. And I just want us to talk about, you know, when we talk about personal growth, personal development, many think we actually know what we are talking about, but let's begin by what your understanding of what this looks like is.
In the simplest, it is getting to understand yourself and pushing or exerting on yourself to attain your full potential. So it's me doing introspection, doing a SWOT analysis of myself. Mm-hmm. You are generally nearly like a company, a business, and you've got to run yourself like that as well. If you're ever going to achieve anything, the same way we will have a vision for the company, the same way, you know, you're going to drop business plans, the same way you're going to be seeking out opportunities to grow business, you have to treat yourself like that. But for you to do that, you have to first of all understand yourself, like, who am I? What am I able to do? What can I not do? What can I do about what I can't do? Why can't I do what I cannot do? Are those limitations self-imposed? Are they because of the environment? Are they because of what people have said? Or are they because of your various capabilities that it's just not your place to do that? Having understood yourself then and looking at what you have in your hands, then you ask yourself, what can I do with what I have? And how far can I go with this? And that has got to be very intentional, Safin, because you cannot leave your life to chance, and you cannot attain growth by default. It's got to be by design. When you leave, if you plant a garden, however beautiful it is, if you leave it to itself, things will grow. But there'll also be things you did not want to grow over there. So when growth is not managed and when growth is not directed, there will be all this haphazard kind of growth, even the things that shouldn't have, which eventually will choke the things that should have grown. So you've got to be very intentional about that. And so when we talk about personal growth and development, it is that element of getting to know, understand yourself, and then finding a way to get yourself to fulfill your potential. And in the success of that, it is not that you're successful because of what you compare other people to or with, but it is in looking at what was your potential and how much of that have you fulfilled.
Let me take you back a little bit. In understanding yourself, why is that significant? Why should we begin there? Because many a times you may just start this journey without taking that very important step that you're talking about. What's the worst case scenario that can happen if I'm in this journey without really knowing who I am and what I'm capable of?
You see, we all have a set of skill and gifts, preferences, personalities and personality types, which affect how we think, what we can do, spaces we can fit in, our socialization as well. So, for example, it may not be very profitable for me to take somebody who doesn't like mingling with people and put them in a position where they've got to mingle with people. It may not make sense for me to take somebody who is this wild party person and say, I want you to sit at the office desk from morning till evening.
8 to 5.
8 to 5. Even if they studied for that thing, their personality will override their papers, and they will just keep on feeling like they're not doing what they were born to do. So it's important for you to understand yourself so that you're not pursuing the wrong path, you're not in the wrong career, or you're not getting into something, succeeding at something that you don't feel fulfilled in, and somewhere along the line, then you want to give up on it. And sometimes people discover themselves when it is a bit too late to start afresh on the other side, in terms of age, in terms of space, in terms of network. So the amount of energy and capital they have to put in to begin the new path will be so crazy that sometimes then they feel, let me just settle in what I have been doing. So you'll see somebody has studied medicine and they feel like they just want to do music, you know. That's where they come alive.
Well, and the way it takes you so many years,
yes,
and a lot of resources and a lot of hard work to actually go that direction.
To go that direction.
To realize that that is not what you're really wired.
Yeah, I mean, probably not many of the younger generation would know that, for example, someone like Nameless is an architect, you know.
Yeah.
Because what I see is this showbiz person,
true.
but wouldn't know. This person studied something, and then they didn't feel that that was what they wanted to push. They may do it in the background, but that's not the brand they wanted to push. And would be so amazed at how many people who were able to do certain things because they were gifted in a certain way. Probably you could pass the sciences, and so you ended up in this university to study engineering, to study medicine, to study this. But then that's not what your heart and your passion is about. And your personality, your drive is not going towards that. You don't feel fulfilled around that. Yes, you have the brains for it, but that's not where you feel fulfilled. And in that understanding self, you have to generally get to know what you can do and what you should do. What I can do, maybe I can sit a chemistry exam and score an A, but maybe that's not where I'm supposed to go.
What you can do and what you should
do.
do. There's a difference.
There's a difference. What you can do is just about your ability. You may be a very bright student in class, so any exam that will come, you will hack it.
Pass, yeah.
But your heart is elsewhere. And in the battle between your heart and your mind, eventually your heart will win. Because even if you follow your mind into it and your heart doesn't come, you will generally not perform as you should. You will struggle. So you'll struggle waking up. And there are a lot of people who struggle waking up to go to work over things that they can actually do well. They can still produce, but they're not fulfilled. And they know how to show up.
So that struggle to wake up in the morning is a very strong message, yeah?
It is.
It is a strong message that should be taken seriously.
It is. It is a strong message. You should never ignore how you feel about something, because feelings are communication as well. If I walk into a room and I do not know people, and then I feel connected to somebody else and I don't feel connected to the other person, there's communication there. Was it 2006 when the tsunami hit? When the tsunami hit was it Asia? Yes, and people died a lot. The animals didn't die. The animals didn't die. It is said the animals went up when they felt the shifting of the tectonic plates and the shaking. They ran up. It's the human beings who stayed around the beach and they stayed on a lower plane, because animals have instincts that cause them to communicate with one another. It's said the elephant can communicate to another elephant that is nearly 5 kilometers away. So if there's danger, they'll release a sound that another elephant will pick up the decibel. I do not believe that God created animals to be more intelligent and wiser than human beings.
True.
But we ignore those basic instincts. We ignore that. The thing that a child will cry around a stranger that they do not know, it is supposed to also protect you, because our cognitive abilities are developed over time. So if it has to be that I have to use my mind, how does a baby protect themselves? How does a 3-year-old protect themselves? How does a 5-year-old protect themselves? How does an older senile person protect themselves? It is because deep inside there's an instinct as well that communicates to you, and your feelings communicate to you that this is not sitting well with me. There are things that you will go to and your conscience will communicate to you. So a lot of us do not pay attention to our conscience, our feeling, our instincts. And we just drive because we've got a strong will. With a strong will, you can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of things. You just push yourself into something and you keep on doing it and keep on doing it, and you're on autopilot and you keep on doing it. But if you really want to, walk into the things that will give you fulfillment, you cannot ignore how you feel.
Yeah.
If I'm waking up and I'm struggling to go into this, see, we talk about relationships a lot on Tuesdays, and if I am struggling to go and meet this person, if I'm struggling to text them, I pick my phone and I say, I want to call so-and-so, then
you feel it's too much work. Or just to spend time with them.
Yeah.
You feel like, what are we going to talk about?
And you've not even fought.
Yeah.
You've not had any issue, but you just struggle. It's a whole message, Stephen.
Yeah.
It's a whole message.
Seriously. Something
is off.
Yeah. So what I'm gathering is that in this journey to really achieving personal growth and development, you first of all need to really know who you are.
Yes.
You really need to understand your inner self and what you're capable of, and place yourself in the right place to do what you should do, not what you can do.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a thing about placement, that you can be gifted but wrongly placed, and then you will never be effective. In team sports, that comes out very clearly. But even within organizations, you will see that I can have Sophine, who is very good at this, then I put her in a place that doesn't really fit her skills, her gifts, her personality, then she won't be as productive. And it's easy to say she's not performing. Yet if I just switched her into something else, she will come alive. She will not need supervision. She'll come alive. She'll be very creative. So understanding yourself helps you to also know placement, that this is where I'm supposed to be within this organization, within life, within this setup. This is where I would function the best. Now, any place that kills your creativity is not for you. We were all created to create. So if the place kills your creative juices, then it is not for you. That is one of the indicators of knowing that you're misplaced or even displaced sometimes. But if you flow into a place, you walk into a room and suddenly you feel these ideas coming, you're home.
You're right where you're supposed to be.
You're right where you're
Remember
supposed
that thing that they always say, like we're all created for a specific purpose.
Right.
There's a problem that all of us are supposed to be solving.
Right.
So it's the journey now is you connecting yourself to that particular problem. You have the solution.
Right.
So like you're saying, if you get to a room and you discover there's something that you want to do that nobody else maybe has identified, then you're right. You're actually in the right place. You're the person you were waiting for to do that thing that you want to do.
Part of our biggest challenge over the years, I think there have been a lot of changes around that, but the school system before was very punitive because there was a very fixed, structured, inflexible way of doing things. Go to school, score these grades. By the time I was going to school, it was the sciences were the sciences were the real deal. If you studied arts, you were a lower student, so you wouldn't even say you were studying arts.
Yeah.
So everybody aspired to go around and saying, at least the list was, say you're doing BSc, but generally it was the sciences. So people didn't think education was anything. In fact, they used to wonder, so who studies education? Like B.Ed, what is that? And then the BA, they would feel like, what's that? But you see, that system was punitive because there are people you'll never put in a class and expect them to do well. but put them in a place where the electrical cables, and even if they've never gone to school to study
they will fix it.
They will begin to do things. Put them around a car and see how they tear up the car and put it back together. So it is said that if you want to judge an elephant by its ability to climb the tree, you probably will say it failed. You know, I had a boy, one of my sons, we lost him at some point. This boy would tear up things, the electrical, put them back together, never started for them. But when it came to that, he would tear up anything and put it back together. But that was his gift. And so you put him in a space where that needs to be used, he will be something else. Now, how we judge people and we say this person is not doing well, other people will say this person is a gift, is because the people who feel this person is a gift have opened up the space for them to express themselves in that way. So you could have, for example, in a family, somebody that you feel that this guy is always giving us trouble. In another place, they feel this person is so gifted at handling people, they help them with the day-to-day stuff that they need to do. It's just because in that particular place they find expression. And so there's nobody that is completely valueless. There's nobody that has nothing to bring to the table. It's about getting to know what this person is about, passionate about, built up about, and whether we can open up spaces for them to express themselves in those ways. Having said that, though, I've got to say that sometimes circumstances also push people into the place where they've got to have bread first. Because there's also the competition.
Life has to happen.
Yes.
I have my passion. I love this, but
there are bills to pay.
Yeah, there are bills to pay. My talents or my interests may not necessarily cater for all the expenses that I have.
Yeah, and so when you have those kind of scenarios, it is also still important for you to pay your bills.
Yeah.
You may not have the full expression, but it's important for you to also pay your bills. So that, again, you are not stuck at one point saying, my passion is this. There's one of my sons, several of my sons, they love to play football, but there's one of them, we had to have this conversation. So these boys were making decisions based on their desire to play football. So Sophie, they would drop subjects in school and say they don't want to study this because this will take them longer in school. And I'll be like, what are you talking about? And they would drop those things without telling us. So when we go to the school, we realize the guy dropped biology. And you're like, what did you do? That, no, I don't want anything that will take me to a place where I'll be in school for 7 years because I want to play football. But now the conversation would be, you may have the passion to play football, but football will not be played forever. The most, you'll get to about 35. After that, there's still life to live. And there are injuries as well. The chances of succeeding at it, because every boy across the globe is doing it. You
have to be really good to stand out.
Good. Yeah. So the chances of you making it there are very slim. You could. But you've got to also do that analysis. So what do you have as a fallback? And then we talk about even the players who are there who get injured, whose careers are cut, who made money and then went down after that. When they retired, there's nothing really to show for what they did. And you say, well, so this is what your passion is, but this is life. And life is very practical as well. The balance between practicality and your passion, there must be something that can support and become the foundation for you pursuing your passion. One of those things is education. It's always a fallback. We've got to say that on national TV because we can't be having people who keep on saying, education is nothing nowadays. Education, it
doesn't take you anywhere. But you see, circumstances have pushed us there. You find a young person has gone to school, very brilliant, they have very good papers. You'd think that would actually be the key to success. When we were young, we were being told education is the key to success. Only for you to graduate in several years, you're still holding that key and there is no door for you to open.
It is the key to success.
What went wrong?
It is the key to success. The application of that education probably is where the issue is. Where the thinking would be, because I studied this, this is what I need to pursue. And these are the opportunities that I have. going back into the talk about the bills, practicality versus your passion, sometimes you've got to take what is available before you walk into what is desirable.
Great, great.
So I may begin at a place that I did not even want to be, but I have in mind where I want to go.
The goal is still very clear in your mind.
It is still very clear. Powerful. And I said, this is what is available right now. I'm going to work in this shop. I'll be an attendant at this supermarket. But then while I'm doing that, I want to build myself towards what I need to become. So do I need to go into training? Do I need to go into coaching sessions? Do I need to go into mentorship programs? Do I need to go to school? Do I need to activate my gift, so put in extra time so I can work as a cashier in a supermarket during the day and be going into, for example, a vocal studio in the night? Because when you have passion for something, it will take sacrifice to get it there.
Yeah.
That you're gifted in something and passionate about it does not mean that you will have success. There's still also the element of discipline and sacrifice and putting in the hours. Even the best at anything still put in the hours. They put in the work. The assumption sometimes is that if I follow my heart, it will be easy. No, it won't. That if I follow my gift and my passion, it won't be easy. You still have got to add effort and energy and diligence and practice and discipline, even in the things that you're good at, so that you perfect it, which is still the journey of personal growth and development, Safin, that even when you're doing what you're good at, you still go back and sit and say, what could I have done better? What do I need to do? Where do I need to grow? Where do I need to look for the thing that I am looking for? So again, even in the gifted areas of our lives, laziness cannot be an option. And people...
Just because you know how to sing doesn't mean you just sit there and sing.
And then you wake up one day.
And you wake up one day and you expect to just stand out.
And sing, and then we're all buying your tickets. It won't happen.
You really need, you market yourself, you be strategic about what you're doing, you go to the studio, you really work your vocals, and you just don't sit there and say, I'm talented.
And if you're going to write songs, you've got to know what songs are going to connect with what audience. You've got to be very targeted. And that's why I said, you've got to look at yourself as a business. You've got to look at yourself as a business, because the truth is,
that's great.
Each and every one of us, you are a company working for a company.
Wow, say that again. Look at yourself as a business.
You're a company working for a company. So you need to, the same way there are expectations of you from your boss. When we talk about be your own boss, I'm not sure many of us can really be our own boss, because we don't even have a JD for us.
Do you have a job description for yourself?
We don't. We don't have KPIs. We don't have nothing. There's no clear vision. It is not communicated. We don't even know what we want to do. It is not communicated to us enough. We don't talk to ourselves enough. We don't have that element of self-talk and keep on telling ourselves this is where we want to go. We have not analyzed what our opportunities would be. We have not looked at what threats we are facing. We just like, well, you know, somehow it will work. One day it will work. If I keep at it, it will not work because you've been at it for long. It will work because you're intentional about making it work.
True.
There are people who have done things for so long and have not succeeded at it. So life does not yield to you because of the amount of time you've put into it.
I know we're going to talk about impact at some point and how it impacts the environment around you and the people around you, this personal growth. But just because you've mentioned the workplace, one thing I wanted to say is, when you're working on yourself, if you improve yourself, it actually trickles down to even that workplace. No employer wants to have an employee who is not really, they've not worked on themselves to the level where they can add value to that particular company. So it still goes the same way. You still need to work on yourself. Even if you're not looking at yourself as a company or as a business, that company or business that depends on your service actually needs service that has been worked on, that can add value to them.
And even your relationships, you know. I mean, it's crazy to have, so if your friends from high school up until today, all they want to talk about is the experiences of high school. You know.
Move on. Let's move on.
There should be new challenges right now.
People grow.
So if they're stuck over there, or they're stuck at how they knew you before. You know how annoying it is to meet people who are stuck at how they knew you before with your childhood stories. And that's all.
Funny nicknames they used to call you, and the hobbies you used to have then, and those are the things they still want you to talk about.
They find you in a group of people, and that's where they want to take you back to. You're not ashamed of your past. You've just grown. You are in your present, and you are looking forward towards your future. And this person needs to appreciate that you are at this stage trying to go to the other stage. So what it reveals is that they have not grown, and slowly it begins to wear you out. It becomes like a flat tire that either needs to be fixed or changed. So when you have worked on yourself, even the people you're around will feel that vibrancy. It's like an engine that has been serviced. It makes things become efficient. I think that's the reason nowadays very few people will get long-term contracted work. It's generally 1 year or 2 years renewable, because it's supposed to enhance productivity. Because before, people would just get into a job and they know, I'll retire from here. So they come in at 22, they'll retire at 55. The next 33 years, whether they are productive or not, is neither here nor there.
True.
And they will not leave, and they want to wait for their retirement so that they get, and they would have these long service awards. It was never about productivity. It was about loyalty. So somebody would be so proud that they've got a long service award, which is still something really, loyalty. But then if I employed you, I don't just want you to be here for long, I want you to be productive.
Exactly. What value are you adding?
What value are you adding? Because you may have been valuable 5 years ago, but you're no longer valuable now, because dynamics are so fluid. The world changes so fast. You've got to be very adaptable. You've got to be able to know how to move with the times, with the changing trends. You need to have insights and foresights into what is happening right now. You should
learn a skill, go back to school, refresher courses. And when you go for refresher, doesn't mean you look for another job.
No, no.
Or you go and get your master's, now you're looking for another job. I mean, add value to yourself so that you can add value to your company, unless you're at a place where you feel, I think I've served my purpose here. I need to move to the next level. And
you know, even sometimes some people think that going back for a refresher course means they don't know what they're doing. Because you'll hear somebody say, I've been doing this for 30 years. So they feel they know everything about that particular area. So they get stunted in growth because there's always something new to learn. Just about 15 years ago, BlackBerry was a big deal.
True.
I don't know where BlackBerry is right now.
Things changed.
20 years ago, probably the Nokia was a big deal. I mean, when Nokia 3310 first came, that was something.
The world is moving so fast.
It's moving so fast. So you may have mastered something, but then the thing you mastered is no longer relevant. I tried to go back into my alma mater for the undergrad, and I was looking at the courses that they have now and realized the things we studied are completely redundant. They're not there. If somebody tried to go and do what I did then, they wouldn't find it. Some of those courses wiped out completely because there are new needs every day being addressed. And for these new things, then we've got to come up with new structures, new systems. We've got to come up with new ideas. We've got to come up with fresh thoughts. So if I mastered something 10, 15, 20 years ago, and then I feel like I've been doing this for long, I'm actually not growing. So sometimes you may be good, but you're not growing. You may have stayed there for long, but you're not growing. There's a reason why if you're an academic, you've got to either show that you're writing papers, you're attending conferences here and there and trainings, your work is in the journals, because you can't say just because you got your PhD 20 years ago, you're still relevant. There's so much information that is coming in. So you've got to show that you are engaged in the acquisition of knowledge daily, or the dispensation of the same, that you're constantly growing. Sergeants never really go on leave. They never really go on leave. So if this person is going to go, for example, on a trip to Seychelles, they probably must have their hospital here talking to another on the other side, and they'll be on call. Because you can't go for 6 months, for example, not performing any procedure, and then come back and say, I'm now refreshed. You'll kill somebody on that table.
People have forgotten where their body organs are and everything.
So you've got to constantly keep working on yourself. And the more you go to the top, the more you go to work.
It becomes demanding.
Yes.
The work starts, the more you go, the work starts. Okay, so let's say somebody wants to start that journey and they're asking themselves, what do I have? What opportunities, what assets, what can I use? How do I start? What are those things? Both internally and externally, how do we explore the things that we can use as, now, these are my tools that I will use for my personal growth and development journey? What are those things?
I love looking at, you want to find the basic you, look at the child that you are. When you had no fears, you had no worries, you had no stress, you didn't think bills, you didn't think
I wish
image.
I could go back to those days.
You didn't think about image, you didn't think about showing up on social media, perceptions, public relations, no. So this was just you. And you stand in the middle of the bank and you shout and you start talking and you command attention. That what were you drawn towards? What are the things that you would want to do? Are you skilled and gifted with your hands? Was it with your mind? Is it with your speech? Is it with leadership that you'd find yourself in a particular place and shortly you're organizing all the girls? It is you who is saying, today I think we should go like this. When there are duties to be distributed in the play group, you're the one who is saying, you will hold this, you will hold the rope on the other side. All those things indicate to you what is innately put in you.
All right.
But we generally ignore that because those things don't show up in adulthood. They show up from childhood. They show up, the leadership qualities, management, people relation, all of those kind of things, administration. You'll find this kid who wants to fix everything, put things in order, who comes in after everybody is gone and they want to make sure everything is put back in place.
All right.
All of those things indicate something about you. So look at the things that, one, you're passionate about. Look at your preparation, and that is where now the element of growth and childhood coming in. The spaces you'd find yourself in school, it is not by accident, unless you bribed, that you found yourself a prefect or a class monitor or a class rep. It is not by accident. Somebody identified something in you. Whether it was the class or the teacher or the teachers, they identified something in you, and you were being prepared in those spaces to come up and do something. I had a conversation with some people yesterday. I said, the first time I did coaching, because I was talking to a certain young man, then he went into a school that I did some coaching for. The first time I did coaching was 1994. It was a hockey team for a high school, and I did not know that eventually I would still end up working with teams and organizations, only that it wouldn't be in the field. But these things were showing up. I did not know when I first went onto a stage about 40 years ago that I would be in public speaking. But that's what I'm doing even.
All right.
Yeah. So all these indicators of things that you'd look at and say, I don't need money to do this. These are my natural gifts and talents. Great.
Wow, thank you for making it so simple, and even reminding us that we need to bring out that child in us, because that is where our abilities and our capabilities lies.
Right.
This is a conversation that we definitely must pick up. I feel like we just scratched the surface, but it went so deep for us to really understand how to begin that particular journey. But the take home is, it's important you start today, because everybody else, including yourself, wants that better version of you. So start focusing on how to improve yourself and begin that journey today, not tomorrow. My name is Safina Cheng Oma. That's how we wrap it up. I've been having this conversation with CJ Atemo. And of course, next week we'll do this again. QT will be here, Roberta will be here. So it will be a full house. Thank you so much for creating time. Have a lovely day ahead.